Hi guys, if you're new here, my name is Sam and I make videos about makeup, chronic illness, and whatever I want. And today I'm starting a new series that I want to call Aries Analysis, where I go over the books that I read for the last month and tell you how I feel about them and what they're about. Now, I meant to film this weeks ago, but life got in the way. We're going over the books I read in January and February. And what makes this Aries analysis is I did not write down many details of these books. I'm just going to wing it. I probably won't know any of the characters' names. I'm just going full Aries and doing it on the fly, pulling shit out of my ass. Alright, let's start with January's books. The first book, let me get my little notes here. I have some notes, but not helpful notes. First book I read in January was called Maybe I should move a little bit for the Sanatorium by Sarah Pierce. So this video is going to be extra Aries because I'm trying to remember books that I read in the beginning of January and it is now the middle of March. So this will be fun. Elin Warner, who is a detective that is on leave, and you don't know if her leave is voluntary or not at the beginning of this book. I am going to do my best not to spoil things because some of these books I think are worth reading. She's with her partner, whose name I do not remember, and I didn't even remember when I finished this book because he was so unimportant to me. They travel to the Swiss Alps to attend an engagement party for her estranged brother, whose name is Isaac, and his fiancée, whose name is Laure. And it's funny that I don't remember her partner's name. The resort happens to be a former sanitarium, if the name of the book didn't give it away. And while it's mentioned a few times, that doesn't play a large role in this story at all, which is just kind of bizarre if you're asking me. I'm sorry, my bangs are not banging today. I found Elin to be quite an annoying character, if I'm being honest. She has PTSD from something that happened on her job, which is very understandable. But she milks it endlessly. Like almost every sentence or every other sentence we're talking about her PTSD. Can't tell you what happened on the job because it would be a bit of a spoiler. But it's just like, okay, we get it. Not everything is going to relate to this PTSD, especially because the thing that happened on the job is not anything you would encounter in your day-to-day life at all. It's not like, it was an incident with a car or something. It's not a common thing. They're here and she seems to be like paranoid of her brother for some reason. Like she implies to her brother, you should be like scared of him because he's like unhinged or something. She doesn't really make it clear, but just like, don't trust Isaac. And then Laure, Isaac's, or Lar, I don't know how you would say this. Lar disappears and it's immediately like, my brother did it. I bet he did something. She's gone. I don't trust him because I think he did bad stuff. And she never tells you what the bad stuff is. She does at the end of the book, basically. The stuff she thinks he did. That gets really irritating as well. Elin becomes dedicated to being a detective and finding her future sister-in-law and becomes increasingly paranoid with every page of this book. And it doesn't drive the tension like it's supposed to, like that you would start getting paranoid with her. I can't get too much more into this. The books I read, it's hard because I read a lot of thrillers and a lot of horror. So if I give too many details, I'm giving away twists, right? And that's what makes these books good. So I can't go further into this, really, because I'll start ruining some of the twists and surprises in case maybe you want to read this. I gave it a 4 because I didn't hate it. There were just things that I would really change about it. And I did read it fairly quick. It kept my interest for quite a while. I would say it's more of like a popcorn muncher book, sort of like a popcorn munching movie. I like books and movies like that. They don't all have to be 5 stars. Also, this was marketed as a horror book, at least by some individuals. This is not a horror book. There's nothing horror adjacent at all. This is definitely just a run-of-the-mill thriller, and that's all I have to say about that. 4 stars. Honestly, in hindsight, maybe 3.5. Next book, Briardark by S.A. Harian. I can't pronounce things. If you're a veteran here, you know that. This takes place in the woods. This also isn't generally a book I would read, but if you've watched my goal video for the year, I wanted to try to read books outside my genre, and this is a sci-fi horror. I like horror books, so I figured, let's try sci-fi. I've read a sci-fi horror before, and it was fine. I didn't expect to be super impressed with this, but why not? So, Sienna DuPont and her research team I actually wrote notes for this, receive an opportunity to go on a research trip into the Dog Switch Wilderness. Weird things start happening straight out the gate. Like they find a body in a tree. I can't give more details than that without ruining things. The map stops matching the trail, so they get very confused and lost, or seemingly lost. And their satellite phone stops working, which is something that should not happen. When they end up getting to their research cabin, things get super creepy. Now, we have, like, another character, so we're going to be jumping between multiple things. So we have a character named Holden, who is just an IT guy. And he gets the job of cleaning out hard drives at his university job. He discovers recordings from Sienna and detailing like all the horrible things that have happened to her on her research trip. But you find out, how do I say this without ruining it? This one is a hard one because, like, everything is kind of a twist. Basically, the woods is not quite what it seems, and Holden tries to rescue them. Like, I can't really say much more than this. I gave it a 4.5 because at the time I enjoyed it, but I would change that to just a 4. Thinking about it now and trying not to, like, ruin things, I realize there's quite a bit where I'm just like, not really my thing. I did read the second book in the series, which we'll get to in my February books. The next book is How to Make a Horror Movie and Survive by Craig Deluey. This book was a brilliant idea and not executed brilliantly, unfortunately. Max is a horror director. And he's sick of making traditional horror movies, like slasher movies. Think Scream, Halloween, Friday the 13th. He's sick of it. He's bored. He wants to make a real horror movie. But his producer won't allow it because slashers are making money. It's the 80s. Everyone wants slashers. That's all they want from him. And he is an artist. Okay? He doesn't want to do these mindless movies anymore. And then we have Sally, who's an actress who is sick of playing the dumb hot girl who gets killed. She wants to be a final girl. She meets Max at a party and is determined to convince him to cast her as the final girl in his next slasher film. However, things don't go as planned because Max goes to an estate sale and gets his hand on a camera. This camera happened to film something incredibly horrifying that happened in real life, and he thinks the history of this camera and the type of film it uses would be excellent to film his next movie on, and he just really wants to do that. Like, he feels the artistic urge to use this old camera for his film. Except there's something very wrong with the camera. The camera's haunted. The rest of the book is just showing you how it's haunted and what it does, so on and so forth. I gave this a 4 originally because I love the idea. I love the idea of, like, making a real horror movie, a haunted camera. Like, all of these things are, like, really cool. But it fell totally flat. Like, awful. It was really boring writing. You're jumping between characters, which doesn't normally bother me, but you're not connected to a single character. Like, there's no emotional connection here at all. So it's kind of hard to, like, pay attention or care, which is kind of important. I downgraded it to a 3.5. So yeah, this next book I actually realized I forgot to even put on my Instagram if you're following me on Instagram, so I need to go and share this. I'm going to try and say this. Diavola by Jennifer Marie Thorne. I gotta start this by saying this is probably going to be one of my top books of the year. This is such a good book. I think about it regularly. I need to actually purchase it because I want to reread it. I was on the wait list for this for 5 months, I think. Well worth the wait. Sidebar, I get most of my books from the library, like ebook borrowing. Anna is going on a family vacation to Italy, except she doesn't like her family. She's definitely the black sheep. Honestly, the black sheep isn't even strong enough. Like, she's the black sheep of a different family having to go on vacation with her own family. She decides she's going to be in Italy. She can deal with it. She can suck it up. It's going to be great. She can just be like wine drunk in Tuscany, you know? You don't have to think about it too hard. Her parents rented this lovely villa that's on a lot of acreage, so there will be a lot of privacy. It has a pool, enough room for everyone to have their own space. But the moment she gets there, Anna realizes like something's off about this place. Like it feels wrong. And she feels like something's watching her. There's weird noises. The locals are trying to discourage them from staying there. Like, are you sure you want to go there? Don't you want me to take you somewhere else? That kind of stuff. And then weird stuff starts happening. Things get moved and they're all blaming each other. They're getting in fights. Lots of stuff, and you can't tell, is it something spooky or is it just them being assholes to each other? I can't really say much more except like Anna spends a lot of time trying to figure out the history of the house, so she knows like what the heck is happening. Why are these things happening? 5 stars for sure. This is a fabulous book that I love a lot and highly recommend. Now we're moving into February. First book was Nestlings by Nat Cassidy. So this book focuses on disability and postpartum depression in kind of an interesting way. Basically making postpartum depression a monster, which is cool because, I mean, it is a monster, but making it a physical, like a being. The main characters are Anna and Reed. They win a rental lottery in New York City. If you aren't sure what that is, if you're in a certain income bracket, you can enter a housing lottery and upscale buildings get some kind of tax break through the city if they offer so many rentals to low income individuals. So they win this lottery at this really prestigious, fancy apartment building, and it's in a better neighborhood, more space, but Anna immediately feels like something's wrong with it. Like, it's too good to be true, but also it just has this vibe. You'll notice a lot of horror books start off with, like, the vibe here is off. Like, vibe check is failing. Reed shrugs it off and was like, it's just you. You're just in a mood. You have some anxiety. How could we pass this up? Like, we're never going to get another opportunity for a place like this. Once they're living there, odd things continue to happen, and Reed just keeps writing it off as Anna's postpartum depression, anxiety, and that she's just overreacting or being paranoid, so on and so forth. However, it turns out to be something significantly different. I can't say anything else because, like, you find out within like the first couple of chapters like what you're dealing with, so I can't go much deeper into it with this book. It is gross. It is a book that really grossed me out. What did I write here exactly? I rated it 4 stars. I really liked the idea and it creeped and grossed me out, which is actually hard to do. However, I think it was too long. If the length was going to work, there needs to be more to the story. I don't mind character and scene building to make a book longer, but nothing was added. Yeah. So the book was unnecessarily long and not for the sake of scene or character development. So that's why I only got 4 stars. The next book from February is Now or Never by Janet Ivanovich. This is the 31st book in the Stephanie Plum series, which is one of my favorite series. This is kind of like a cozy mystery comedy kind of series. Stephanie is a bail bonds enforcement agent, or a bounty hunter, I guess you could say. And in this one, they always kind of give a summary in the beginning if you haven't read any of the other books. But Stephanie is engaged to 2 men. She has to decide which man she actually wants to marry. But she has to find a few individuals. Eugene Fleck, who is an online influencer who is stealing trucks to give away the stuff in the truck to homeless individuals. Bruno Jug, who is a produce mogul who is being accused of trafficking women. And the third is Zoran, who is a wannabe vampire and also a serial killer. 5 stars. This next book is weird to put in here, I guess, and it's Not You. Identifying and Healing from Narcissistic People by Romani Duvasula. I cannot pronounce her last name. She is lovely. I found her on TikTok a couple of years ago, and obviously there's this issue where people are misusing the word narcissist. Narcissists are a very specific type of person. I was a psych major. I have also done lots of therapy, and I read, like, psychology is a special interest of mine, so I'm constantly reading research papers and textbooks. Narcissists are not always like the thing people think they are. It's not just somebody who's self-absorbed. Like, it's a specific thing. So I read this book because I have dealt with narcissists, and in my personal life, it's not always easy for me to completely understand what to do, but also just from a psychology being my special interest, I love to learn about all things psychology. I don't usually include them in my like Instagram thing because I mean it's basically like reading textbooks. Nobody wants those recommendations. The next one is Waywarden by S.A. Heron. This is the sequel to Briardark. Sienna is trying to find her way out of these woods, and Holden is determined to save her at any cost. This book was boring. I gave it 3 stars because I liked the scene building of it. You really felt immersed in the world. But it was so repetitive, and the whole book just felt like one long scene. You're just in the dark woods, and it's scary. And there's not a lot of character anything. You kind of start to lose interest in the characters. Oh, what did I say I rated that? 3 stars? Maybe I'd give it 2. I don't remember if I said that. Next book is Gallows Hill by Darcy Coates. First and foremost, every book I've read to, both books I've read by Darcy Coates now have been fabulous, so I want to keep reading. I think she's a very good writer. She's incredible at scene building and character building. Like, you feel like you're watching a movie. You feel like part of this group. You get very attached to characters. You feel like you know them personally, to the point that I was even having dreams about these people, like they were real people. Margot inherits a generational winery when her parents pass away, but she doesn't want it. She's heard it's spooky ooky and built on cursed land because it used to be where they would hang convicted felons, and she doesn't want it. Lots of weird stuff, lots of creepy stuff. This book was so good. Like, not only is it 5 stars, it's like 50 stars out of 10, because every time I'd hear like a little noise as I was reading it, I would like jump. It, like, you get so immersed in her writing that like it actually creeps you out, like, severely. The next book I didn't finish. It's called Edenville by Sam Rebelin. I don't know. I don't know what this book was about. I got like 10% into it, and I think it was supposed to be like a sci-fi horror, but it was so confusing. It was jumping around. I can't even tell you anything aside from it was like this writer who had a huge ego, like a god complex, got offered a job at a college, but it was a trap because, like, these people have to feed this machine writers or something. But then it turned out that, like, he knew it was a scam because the apartment they were going to have him live in had, like, this couch that he saw in a dream. Yeah, and then we just, like, talked about the apartment a lot. It was bad, and so I just quit. My last book, Dead of Winter, Darcy Coates. 5 stars. 5 stars all around for Darcy Coates. This one is the one where I was really dreaming about these characters because, like, there were so many. Also, that's the interesting thing. There were so many characters. I don't remember how many, but you never got them confused at all. Like, it was only told from one woman's point of view, but, like, you would remember who did what. Like, it was just really well written. So the main character's name is Krista. She's traveling with her boyfriend to this remote lodge for a 2-week stay, and there's, like, a bunch of people on the bus. Let's just say 14 people. I don't know. The lodge is usually closed in the winter, but they got special permission to rent this lodge out, and they're on a tour bus, and there's a tree in the road. So they get out to start to chainsaw the tree because they came prepared. They knew they were going to be in the wilderness and there might be fallen down trees from the winter storms. So they had a chainsaw onto the bus in case this happened. While they're chainsawing the tree, a snowstorm came and, like, a bunch of stuff happened. They get, like, lost in the storm. They're trying to find their way to the lodge. On the way to the lodge, they find a little cabin and they're all stuck in this cabin. And then somebody starts killing off one by one the people in the cabin. And who is it? Who is it? And will they ever get rescued? Because it's blizzard after blizzard. There's like 100 blizzards happening. And it's like negative degrees outside. They have barely any food. Loved it though. It was great. And that's all I have. I hope you enjoyed me giving you the Aries rundown of the books that I have read. I am obviously continuing to read, and I hope I'll have Marches done on time. If you've read any of these books, let me know down below how you feel about them. If there are any books you think I would like and you want me to read, let me know down below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I hope you had a good time. This was fun to film. I'll see you guys next time.